Phantasy Star is a unique, often overlooked RPG series by Sega. The series has been a competitor of other popular JRPGs such as Final Fantasy and Dragon Warrior in the 8 and 16-bit eras. The early game experiences offer a lot of fun, sci-fi fantasy gameplay and unique story elements for their time. I discovered the series in the early 2000s with the release of Phantasy Star Online, Sega's first foray into the world of online RPGs. Phantasy Star Online was released on Dreamcast in North America in 2001. It would later be ported to PC, Xbox, and GameCube. When I first got the game, I couldn't play online because I actually didn't have internet service back then. You heard me right, I didn't even have dial-up. Thankfully, I have broadband service now, and there are private servers still running. The most notable are Ultima Server and Schthack Server. I'll link both in the description below. When you begin Phantasy Star Online, you have a predetermined assortment of race-class combinations to choose from. Races include humans, Newmans, which are basically elves, and castes, which are the coolest android race. They have the most awesome designs. Classes include hunters, rangers, and forces. You have a limited amount of character customization options available, but they were impressive for the time. Lobbies in the game are very intuitive. There are several lobbies per ship, and in lobbies you can walk around in character and chat with other players, meet up, and when you want to create a game session, you simply walk up to a counter. You can name your session whatever you want and even give it a password, or you can leave it open for other players to join in whenever they want. The game features multiple difficulties for you to play on, in which the enemies play differently and yield better items. This in itself offers the game a lot of replayability. The game's combat system is a lot of fun, and there are some genuinely great ideas there, although it can be held back by a few design flaws at times. The most prevalent being the targeting system. The game automatically targets an enemy that is in your field of vision. It seems to try and target the enemy that is directly in front of your character, but all too often this goes awry. It doesn't help that you have one button to control the camera, and all it does is simply center the camera behind your character. So literally, part of the challenge from the combat is targeting the right enemy, which is not a good thing. Also, the combo system that the game uses is fun, but it requires extremely precise timing in order to chain attacks. I feel like this had to be implemented due to the slower dial-up speeds in use back then. There are many enemies and items to collect while questing and exploring. I mean, there's tons of loot. Different weapon types change how you play your character. There's even a neat item dropping system that players can use to trade. You can imagine how many people got cheated out of their items with some quick timing back in the day. The enemies are varied, but a lot of times the AI aren't as challenging as you might want them to be. But for the time though, these were impressive feats. You can lose yourself in this lush world that is complemented by a procedural dungeon generation system. It makes the game feel huge when there are really only 4 dungeons to explore with multiple floors. At the end of each dungeon there are some crazy awesome bosses. The fights feel extremely epic. You'll end up using the same tactics for each boss though, but each one plays a little bit differently and is visually stunning. Questing plays out as you would expect in the game. You take quests from the guild and you can team up to play them. It definitely added an insane amount of replayability to the game. On top of the character development system, there is a mag system. Mags are kind of like a Tamagotchi pet that provides your character with bonus stats and 6 super moves to be used in battle. For the time, the game was graphically beautiful. I still think it looks great today. It has such a unique environment and character design that was unlike anything I had seen before. Now this game does draw many influences from popular sci-fi franchises like Star Wars, for example, but it pulls off the sci-fi fantasy look and feel better than anything I've ever played. This game is a very memorable game, but one aspect that makes it stand out more than any other is the music. Oh my goodness, the music. The opening theme, A Song for Eternal Story, is a track that instantly takes me back to the most nostalgic days of my childhood. The entire score is filled with haunting beauty that provides the perfect atmosphere for this space drama. What's more to note about the music is that there is a dynamic music system in the dungeons that seamlessly transforms the dungeon's calm music into battle music. It is a wonderful addition to an already great game. Along with the music, the overall sound design fits the game perfectly. I can hear a sound from Phantasy Star Online and instantly recognize it. There is a lot of lore in Phantasy Star Online that players can dig into through quests and little holograms left throughout the dungeons. It's not thrown in your face through cutscenes or forced dialogue, which I like. Your character is a hunter for hire on a ship called Pioneer 2. The ship is full of people that have left their destroyed homeworld in order to colonize a new world, Rhaegal. You are tasked with investigating what happened with Pioneer 2's sister ship Pioneer 1 as they crashed on planet Rhaegal. There is a mysterious backstory behind each dungeon and the protagonist Red Ring Rico that leads up to a shocking and sad conclusion. Overall, Phantasy Star Online is a game that had an amount of depth that wasn't usually seen on console games during this time. It was one of the very first massively multiplayer online console-based experiences and still holds up to this day. Much like the ship's name, this game was a pioneer for its time. PSO built an extremely dedicated fan base with its rich worlds and addictive gameplay. It even spawned a number of sequels and was extremely influential in the modern JRPG dungeon crawler MMO industry. Phantasy Star Online, with its unique world and addictive gameplay, merits a 1 on the binary scale. Play it now. Thanks for watching.